Welcome to the Awaken on Purpose podcast, where each week you'll receive insight, inspiration, and advice for aligning your mind, body, and spirit to achieve a fulfilled life and live your purpose with me, your host, Jennifer Spohr. You'll also hear from other leaders who share their inspirational stories and wisdom in living fulfilled, on purpose, and making an impact. If you're a mission-driven leader and you're passionate about learning and integrating all the things that empower you to live and lead a fulfilled, purpose-led life, this is the show for you. Hey everyone, I'm really excited to welcome as a guest to the show today, Brandon Gil. He is the founder of Gil Marketing, which is a full-service online solutions firm that develops and grows the online presence of businesses from startups to publicly traded enterprises. They consolidate multiple components of digital marketing into a customized strategy that generates lifetime customers for businesses. I can't wait to have this conversation with you, and welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on here. I love your show, by the way. I love actually that you focus on the purpose as why people do things. I think I'm excited to see what it is that we can uncover and we discuss in this conversation.
Yes, definitely. Me too. And yeah, to elaborate on that a little bit, I do believe that each one of us is here for a reason, right? Like each one of us has a purpose for being on the planet, and it's always being able to be of service to others in some way, right? Through a combination of our values, beliefs, and our talents, our gifts, stuff that we're good at. And it doesn't always have to be something that's front and center on a world stage, right? It's really just what that means, I think, for each person. And so that's actually a great segue into the first question I thought to ask you, which is that, we'd love to hear a little bit more about your background, but what really inspired you to, do the work that you're doing today?
Awesome. So my background, that kind of leads me into that. I've always grown up being an athlete. I've been in many different sports, and I played baseball through college. And so in being in athletics all through college, it was very structured, and I didn't really have exposure to a lot of different things. Even in the classroom, I could really only invest so much because a lot of what I was investing was onto the field, which was the reason of my scholarship, mostly that I was there, aside from my academic scholarship. But so in being in that kind of world and then transitioning to the workforce, I just kind of tried a bunch of different things. I knew I wanted to make a difference. I knew I wanted to have the flexibility to try out many different things because I have several different interests. And so I found myself introduced to a digital marketing, to an opportunity to do those things, accomplish some of those things through digital marketing, to where after a corporate 500 job, I said, forget this, I want to start my own thing. Got into marketing because it exposed me to a lot of different industries. I was able to market for different people and not just focus onto one, specific kind of company. And then just getting into business itself was something that was going to give me the freedom to explore different opportunities that would help me feel more and more fulfilled as I get involved into them. So the true purpose why I got into a digital marketing company was also to be able to create a machine to where I can grow and scale different brands and different companies in different industries, and then ultimately find something that, find something that I liked myself, and then, go and get into that.
You've been under the weather. It's okay. You can take your time if you need to stop for a second too.
I apologize. Sorry, I won't be so long-winded in my answers.
No, you're totally fine, and take your time if you need to. We know you've been under the weather, so it's real life, right?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I have been under the weather. I apologize. So just forewarning, but yeah, there's a few different reasons. Those are the reasons why I chose marketing, and just being self-employed for those reasons.
I love that. And I think marketing is a fantastic field to be in because you're really, and your background is pretty diverse too, in terms of the different types of accounts that you have. I think marketing is an important industry because you're really helping others find their voice, which I think is really cool. So you work with a lot of different types of businesses. what's your passion around being so diverse, basically? I guess I notice a lot of people in marketing, they tend to stick with a certain type of industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think for me, it's just, I just have a lot of different passions in life. And I think that, for example, like music, I know, like, so for example, like the CBD and hemp industry is another passion of mine. Like all arts, culture, there's just so many things that I'm drawn to. And being a marketing agency allows me the ability to experience those passions and get embedded and get involved and learn from them. And, then be able to create businesses from them that are monetizable. So now I'm making money from things that are my true passion. So that's like really something that I feel has been the greatest aspect of why being in a marketing agency, and then also being able to expand and focus on several different things. And if somebody stays in one industry and that's like what they really love to do, then that's great. And if they don't have any other interest, and that's great for them. But I do know it's easier to scale a business and make it more sustainable when you focus on one industry. But for me, it was about just like being able to surround myself with my passions day to day.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think is the biggest thing that has shifted in business between, now and pre-COVID?
Well, I think internally, a lot of businesses are now, of course, having to switch from being in the office to being, to working remotely. So I think that, from an infrastructure standpoint, I think that there's been like significant changes. And then like, I think also the way that people offer products as well to their consumer base has changed, because the way that people consume products are different. Like their applications are different just based off of what their different, their circumstances are day to day. People purchase things because they solve a problem. So I think with the huge focus, or I'm sorry, the huge shift that we've had through COVID, people's day to day problems change. And so that's why some products have really elevated and have found great market share. And I think that the companies that have succeeded have been able to adjust to the needs and also understanding their customer base through these shifting times, as well as being able to support that by understanding their employees' needs through these times as well, by accommodating them remotely.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to remote work, I feel like effective communication is more important than ever too. And also people are, whether it's from having this time at home or unfortunately, becoming ill or the loss of a loved one, people are realizing, I think, a lot of what's really important to them, and that's causing them to initiate shifts as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So many of us, and I used to be in this place too. Like, I have an extensive professional background. I was in corporate before I started my own business. And I was one of those people that checked all the boxes off the list, so to speak, of what many of us are taught that it means to achieve success. And then I realized, after essentially trying to find the thing outside of me, right, to bring me ultimate happiness and fulfillment, that all the answers were really like within. So my question for you, my question for you is, what role do you feel that spirituality plays on your journey, professionally and personally?
I think that you really hit the nail on the head in understanding that your journey is based off of things within you that you feel to be able to guide you. And I think that we all want to feel a sense of fulfillment. And I think that we all have to build to be able to get those things sometimes. Sometimes it is a delayed, kind of reward that you get. And I think that because of that, and it taking time for people to get what they truly want out of life, I think that, they don't realize until they get there that chasing the destination, that once you get to the destination, maybe that's not like where the fulfillment actually comes. And I think that you realize that the fulfillment actually comes in the day to day through the journey, and you getting to either certain destinations or or maybe you never get to a destination, but the fact that you're able to do something, every single day that you love, that's the success right there. And I think that, speaking to your point that, and then going back to, looking outside, but really it's like looking within. Excuse me. I think spirituality, introspection, research and studying, reading, really is what, allowed me to look within and realize the things that I wanted out of my life. And that was to just live my day-to-day passions. And for me, and also getting to certain points as well in my career to where I'm like, okay, this is great. I hit a milestone that I've always dreamed of. Now it's like, now what? It's always just to keep going and keep growing and stuff. And so, I think that the destination is always kind of like this intangible thing, because even when we get there, there's always going to be like what comes next, especially if you have several other interests. So that's like just what I would say is, and I get just to kind of wrap up the answer to your questions before I start coughing again is, I think that looking within has allowed me to, and my spirituality has allowed me to have realized that I can just live my life day to day and truly enjoy myself and feel like I've achieved it. You know what I mean? Rather than having it fixated around like a destination that's gonna be changing anyways, or there's several destinations, but we want to go regardless.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because I believe that too, is that it's really, we have goals and milestones that we set to achieve, but we're eternal students. There's never really an end destination. There's always a next level, a next invitation to mastery, I like to say. But yeah, I love that you said that. That's really cool. So what has the biggest challenge been for you, right? Because something that, of course, I've experienced on my own path, and that always comes up with clients, right, is mindset. And I believe, as an entrepreneur and a mentor, that mindset in business is really most of the journey, like 80 or 90% of it. So what's one of the biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
I mean, definitely, I would say just being able to sustain the business is a challenge in itself. Being able to make sure, because for myself, I bootstrapped my businesses, and, so then being able to just keep reinvesting and kind of, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations really for the benefit of the business has, brought like a lot of different things. Like, for example, like, oh, I should probably, take a break, or I should go get a job and get income from somewhere else, like invest back. And I think having a lot of moments of instability really try to take you off your path. But as long as you stay true and on your path, I think that, just kind of really need to just stick with things. At the end of the day is how I overcame it. You just realize, you just got to stay in the game. You just have to do your part every single day. These problems are going to arise day to day. And it's just the matter of the ones that stick in it the longest and fail the most and live to see those failures are really ones that make it happen. So that's really all it is. It's just kind of making sure I stay on track despite how hard things get. And then as far as scaling, once I got to the point where I was able to scale my business, was really just kind of implementing the mindset, I would say into a team, to just also be maybe proactive, creative thinking, and problem solving and things like that. It's really easy to just kind of have things get lost down the chain of commands and just kind of point fingers. But I think also taking accountability, and when you kind of when you're walking by and you see a fire, you're gonna put it out, or are you just gonna keep walking by it type of thing. Kind of then now getting other people to resolve problems. It's so hard for us to resolve our own problems, then trying to get other people to resolve other problems, is also a task in itself. So that's also been another, I would say, challenge that I've experienced in business.
Yeah, I love what you say about accountability too, because as the CEO and founder, you're the steward of the business, right? It doesn't matter if it was a team member or whatever dynamic might have been in play. It's still you.
Exactly. And I think it's something to where then it falls back on me, and am I doing everything that I can? Am I teaching? Am I leading by example? Or am I putting the right people in place to where everybody else can look to lead by example. Have I taught that person everything that I would like, to be carried on throughout the rest of the team and stuff? And so, yeah, it always does, come back to me at the end of the day, and making sure that, I like you said, you could set the processes, you could set the dynamic and things like that. But, people look to those who are giving them the instruction, and you just have to set a good example for that day in, day out, with like your expectations of them. You have to also do the same and expect the same out of yourself.
Absolutely. I'm a big believer of daily success habits, practices, things that fuel our growth and the goals that we're aspiring to achieve. So what practices do you have in place that are kind of like your go-to?
I would say for me, waking up early and beating the sun to always make sure I'm in a position with my day to just like take advantage of the day. Like, you look at every single day, like an 8-hour block period of workday where everybody else is working, you just, can only fit so much into there. So I think, like, to do so, if you want to accomplish a certain amount of things, you just really need to frame your day. So, I try to make sure that I habitually wake up early and beat the sun. And then I would say, like, list keeping is also something that's very important to me. Always like keeping the things that I need to do top of mind, and making sure that I'm following up on my list as well too, and continue to build my list of things that I have to make sure that I focus on and I take care of on my part. So that's all. Like, those are the two things that I really focus on to have kind of like, I guess, like my best practices would just be like waking up early and just like keep a list and just live by it,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, keeping a list is super important. I'm also an early person too. I just feel so much more energetic and productive in the morning. I don't know. I've always wondered about people that can work out at night and everything. I just that's not me by the end of the day. But yeah, I can get everything done in the morning. My go-to, I have a few different things that I do, but one thing that was really a gateway to provide, clarity for myself on my path was implementing meditation as a practice, and also mindfulness. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, I actually have. And I was actually meditating like this morning. And I think like that's something that, especially as a business owner, that when you get so caught up like in your day-to-day tasks, being able to meditate, it kind of allows you to step out of that noise and look at things from like a top level perspective of like your day-to-day. And whether it's like appreciation, like gratitude, or whether it's like understanding, kind of like bigger picture actions that you could take and practices that you could implement and things like that. So yeah, like I would say meditation is incredible, is a huge part in being able to think big picture, larger scale.
Yeah, I love that you bring up gratitude as well, which is super important. And a lot of people talk about gratitude, right? But to take it a step further than that, is the gratitude, it's being grateful, and it does attract more to us to be grateful for, which leads me to just, I feel compelled to mention that, even more important than our actions, right? And even our mindset is our energetic frequency, right? It's like the energy that we're putting out there, because we can say or do, whatever we want, but if we're not actually embodying that, then it necessarily, won't happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. The law of attraction is a real thing,
Yeah.
like definitely what you put out there is what you get. And I think like what you practice and putting out there, I think you are able to feel something that's not conducive to your day to day or to like your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. So when a particular kind of energy does come in, you know how to distance yourself from it, and what to keep and what to cultivate, in terms of like energy and things like that go.
Yeah, definitely. Brandon, what would be your number one piece of advice for our listeners that are forging their own path to continue moving forward?
Yeah, not to give up. I think everybody forms their own path, and everybody thinks it's, success looks like that, but really it's
Yeah,
all of
it's
these
like
different
all over
movements
the
over
place.
here. Yeah, so there's no cookie cutter solution, but there's definitely steps that you could take to kind of figure out. I think everybody's got different problems that arise based off of the nature of their business, but the one thing I think that kind of covers it all is just not to give up and just to make sure you stay in it and stick forward, because all of those hours that you spend, all the relationships that you build, all of all the things that you do just compound on each other, and before you know it, you have yourself in an incredible position to leverage value and just continue to make bigger and bigger plays. But you only do that by staying in it. You only do that by like by not giving up. So that's like what I would say is ultimately my word of advice.
That's fantastic advice. Something I often say is, develop that knowing versus a hoping, because hope is great, but it still implies that what you want to achieve may not happen. Having that knowing, that sense of purpose and conviction that whatever it is that you want, that it's going to happen, and that there is no other path, right? Just the path.
Exactly. Not a matter of if, but when it happens kind of thing, Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like the word hope. I'm not a big hope fan either.
Neither am I. Yeah.
Hope. It's like, no, like it's going to happen, or I know it's going to happen. You make sure that it happens and stuff. Like I agree. Hope does leave that little room for it not to happen. So I love that. Do you replace like certain words like that in your vocabulary to kind of, I guess, like instill like, mindsets, or just, kind of like, carry yourself in a particular way?
Sometimes I do, yeah, and that's one of the big ones, right? And I did a post about that, a video about it a few weeks ago, because don't get me wrong, like hope is great. And sometimes if you're in a place of despair, or, because I'm not going to pretend that it's not all rainbows and unicorns, our journey, right? So if you're in a place of despair, or you're just feeling down, hope can be a great stepping stone. But when it comes to forging your own path and successfully achieving your goals, you have to develop a knowing. Hoping isn't good enough. You have to develop a sense of conviction that there is no other path. I mean, I've been around in business long enough to see so many talented people, so many gifted people quit right before the finish line, or they quit too quickly out of the gate, because like so many people, they're conditioned to believe that there's some kind of magic pill or approach to success, and it's really not an overnight thing. I know I kind of went off on a tangent in answering your question, but but anyways, yeah, that's my whole thought process, but behind the hoping versus knowing.
Yeah, but you're so right though, and I think that hope is great for things that you can't control. Like things that are out of your control, like like decisions that have to be made, or things that have to fall through. There's so many reasons that are out of our control as to like why we're positioned where we are. But at the same time, like but hope could kind of stay in that box of things that we can't control. Like the things that you can't control, you got to know and make it happen. Ultimately at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, in closing, is there anything else that you're feeling guided to share?
Yeah, I mean, I just think I feel very strongly about just like not being able to give up, and to where, at the end of the day, I think that, I just think that as long as we all just kind of like support each other, and we just like continue to spread, positive messaging, and we're able to keep each other like as humanity moving forward, I think like we're all going to get to where we want to be. I think like going back to like the destination versus the journey, if you're not happy in what you're doing, and it's not, if you basically are finding, let's say, like monetary success at this current moment in what you're doing, and you're building your business, and you're still truly happy, just make sure that you're still doing it. But if you're not, just kind of like have some introspection, meditate a little bit, look within, and see if it's something that you truly want to do, if it's guided by passion and purpose, and and then just so long as like we all support each other, I just think like we're all going to be able to help each other stay in the game long enough to succeed. So that's the gist of it.
I love that. I loved our conversation today. It's such a joy to have you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and more conversations like this needs to be had and put out there. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. And I think you're making an incredible impact and helping people really uncover things about themselves that are life altering at the end of the day, So, truly value you and what you're looking to do. And anytime you want to have me back on, it's my pleasure. I'd be more than happy to come and chop it up. Maybe when I'm not, coughing and not having any
When you're
disruptions.
feeling better.
Yeah. I'll go to my office. I'll be like in a more professional setting, but yeah, anytime, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you again.
Yes. Thanks so much. Thank you for listening to the Awaken on Purpose podcast. Please visit me and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or at awakenonpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can achieve a fulfilled life, live your purpose, and make an impact as a mission-driven leader, visit me at jenniferspore.com. And while you're there, be sure to join Awaken on Purpose, the community, to connect, collaborate, and grow in business and life with others who are like-minded.